Unlike every Monday morning, coming out of the Sunday hangover, I had to reach office at 6 a.m. It was actually 27 January 2014. I was working with Mahindras at the Kandivali facility, something around 12 kilometers from this place. I had a call the previous day with my boss that, next day, you have to attend a project meeting at a manufacturing facility in Nashik, and you have to leave early to ensure that you reach on time. And just because it was a short plan, you can self-drive a car along with your friends. So I was here entering my boss' cabin, pulling his drawers, and I took the key of a departmental car, a black muscular Scorpio, straight went to the parking lot, got inside the car, strapped the seat belt, and left for Nashik. While handing over that yellow gate pass slip to the out security guy, I had no idea of what's waiting for me in next 2 hours. And thanks to the Mumbai traffic, till I reached Thane, I had no chance to pace. After that, when I accelerated, I actually realized that there was something unnatural to the car. And we all mechanical engineers, we concluded that just because the car may be standing since long in the parking lot would be a case of low air pressure. And we decided that the time we take a break in between, we'll just drop the car at the nearest air filling station and get it done. We did the same thing, and we resumed our journey towards Nashik. And there's a beautiful place along the Mumbai-Nashik Express Highway called Kasara Ghats. A tall, high cliff valley with around 5 hairpin bends. And hairpin bend is a typical bend when you have to steer your car almost a 180 degree. And I was on the second hairpin bend of that cliff. While turning, while maneuvering to my right, I realized and felt the same wobbling again. And Utkarsh, my friend who was there on the co-driver's seat, we have a typical notion of these test vehicles that they're not well maintained because everyone comes and picks it up. So he said, yeah, Nitish, do we have airbags in this car? In my typical slang, I said, department ki gaadi hai, chal rahi hai, wohi bahut badi baat hai. And with the same slang, he replied, mujhe meri jaan pyari hai, and he strapped the seat belt. What triggered the other guy sitting in the rear side did the same thing. And then I was on the top, on the 5th hairpin bend, and I realized that in the next 15 seconds, I'm going to jump from this 350 high, tall cliff to ground zero. I realized that my steerings are not working. I was trying to maneuver, but my car was just heading straight. And I had no idea what to do. I did something which I would not do now in my senses. I braked. I braked my car, and the Scorpio toppled. It hit right to the rock bed. It skid across. It broke the fence over there. And there was a time the car was suspended, and we were between life and death. Till the time I realized what was happening, the car broke down the fence, and it started rolling the cliff bed. The initial rollovers were very scary. A lot of noise, things were hitting, and no reaction at all. But suddenly the car got stopped on a tree trunk, on a branch. And we have all seen these Hindi movies or Hollywood movies, the car gets exploded. That was a thought which came into me, that because I was driving the car, I felt the same thing, that there can be a situation where the same thing can happen. And the very first thing I did was I switched off the ignition of the car. I killed the engine. But that led to something else. The car jerked because it was a huge vehicle. It broke that fence and started rolling again. And now the rollovers were severe because of the gradient and the inertia which the car took. It was happening in seconds. And Utkarsh said to me, why are you not braking? I said, I'm braking, it's not working anymore. And he did not say anything after that. I closed my eyes. I thought it's done. The very next thing which came in my mind was my mother's face and the thought that I spoke to you yesterday, and I think that was the last time I'm talking. I closed my eyes, and a few seconds later, I could hear Utkarsh and Mangesh screaming out, "Nitish, bahar nikal." Luckily, the car got stuck to a bigger trunk, and these guys were already out, and I was struggling to come out. Being on the driver's seat, I was trapped between the steering and the A-pillar, which was almost intruded to my body. I had a problem in unstrapping the seatbelt because the car was upside down. It was very difficult to locate the buckle. So normally, you go down and unbuckle, but because the car was upside down, I had to strap it and then realize that the buckle is on the top. I somehow managed the space to come out through the windscreen, and the very first thing I saw there was Utkarsh was moving towards the valley instead of going up. I ran and stopped him, and I said, "What happened?" He did not reply anything, but I felt he was frightened, he was panicked. And the problem was, he lost his specs while the rollover and was literally blind. More than the injury and the trauma, something which was hitting me at that time was the guilt of putting all my friends in danger. The only way to survive was climbing top on the cliff so that we are reachable to people and we can reach hospitals. I don't know what courage I got from where. I was a person who could not actually walk for 5 kilometers till then. Some energy helped all of us to reach on the top. But when we reached there, things worsened. Mangesh was already tired, he was falling down. It was a hairpin bend, so normally when you take a right steer, you normally don't see the left side. So nobody was noticing us. 3 of my friends lost their phones because they were either listening to music or kept their phone on the dashboard. But during the rollover, it got lost, and because I was driving, the phone was in my pocket. I contacted my colleagues in Mumbai, and they said to me that, we have an engine facility nearby at Igatpuri, which was around 6 kilometers. And it's very difficult for somebody to come over there because it's one way, so it may take around 45 minutes to reach. So they said to me, somehow try to manage to reach there. Luckily, a Maruti Omni car stopped. We all got into that. We had no space, but no option. We were not having phones, no idea who would reach where. We got inside with that blood-stained shirts and finally reached Igatpuri. The duty doctors were all ready to give us first aid, immediately took us to the Wokard Hospital, Nasik. I still remember when I reached the emergency ward and narrated the entire story to the doctor, I went unconscious. 6 hours later, when I actually opened my eyes, the very first thing I did was I checked my hands and legs, are they working? And then I managed courage to ask my friends who were standing there, what happened to my other friends? And with a relief, they said, everybody is fine. And then so many friends, people calling me, my parents were heading towards Bombay. That night, it was very difficult to sleep. Every moment I tried closing my eyes, the incident flashed back every time. Thanks to the sedations and medicines, I could sleep that day. And certain days after that, it's very difficult when you live a busy life and be idle in hospital. When you don't have to do anything, everything which comes on, and you think that, why it's happening to me? Time passed away. I had a very good senior who was working with me, who came and told me that, bad faces stay for a certain period. No matter how hard you hit, how hard you scream, they'll take the course. Take a pause and let it go. I followed that, and when I joined my office after 30 days, I was a different Nitish. And 3 reasons which actually transformed and became my greatest learning of life are these. The first one, when I was rolling down the cliff and I closed my eyes, the very first thing which came in was my mother's face. And I still remember when my dad and my parents came into the hospital, my mom was screaming, she was crying. My dad has wet eyes, and I saw something very disturbing. My superhero, who always picked me up from crisis, he was standing helpless the very first time. He was helpless, just praying that I wish my son becomes the way he was a day before. And that was hurting. And then I realized, no matter what you aspire, what our dreams are, or what you want to do, or where you want to reach in life, or what tensions or pressure you have in your life, when you're actually very close to death, the only thing which flashes is your family. And since then, all my aspiration dreams are second to my family. My second learning in life, so this period, from the day of accident till the day I resumed office, there were so many people who talked about me, who cared, who came to my house, who inquired about my health, and who asked for help. And naturally, this number reduced. But I could see a pattern. I could see a certain number of people who were consistent throughout. But I could see something stronger. The set of people who were there since day one to the day I resumed office were those who were least important in my life. But for them, I was the most important person. And that changed my outlook of relations in life. And it said me that as important the people you think are, even the guys for whom you are important value the same. And since then, I value each and every relation, and I can feel, as it says, that good attracts good. My third big learning in life. So I call this entire story of my experience as a story of an high jump. So not because I jumped from the very tall Kasara Ghat, but for something which I'm going to say now. So just before this, as ma'am said, the mid-age crisis, I was actually in a pre-age crisis. So it's just after your college, your graduation, you get your dream company, you start working, you aspire to grow, you get your first promotion, a couple of years later, you get your second promotion, and then suddenly you realize there is a dwell in your career, and you're starting hitting that MBA button, and I had that big American dream of doing an MBA in US. I was worried about my GMAT scores, my GMAT mocks not aligning with my aspirational institutes. I was worried about my profiles, how I can build my profile. I was worried about my upcoming promotion, everything. And all this pressure added to my lifestyle, and I was standing on a 10,000 feet high pressure cliff. But in this period, I realized not even a single time I thought about that. Not even a single time I worried about my GMAT score, or not even a single time I was worrying about my MBA. Because my life was more important than anything that time. Or some new set of problems replaced with something that I had earlier. And I realized not about thinking about all those things had made no change in my life in these 30 days. And then I learned a very strong learning out of this incident that, no matter you take pressure, it has no dependency on the result and outcome. So if it is so, why do you spend your time on thinking things so much? Let it go in the flow. When I say don't take pressure, it doesn't mean I'm not aspirational. My aspirations are as high as it was earlier. But it's just that I'm okay to push my promotion by an year just because I want to spend a week holiday with my family, or I'm okay to get a B grade in an exam just because I can spend a day with my friend who after long has dropped in Mumbai a day before my exams. And today I feel these learnings are something which will take me ahead, but not something which I was preparing myself. And this was the reason why I left over my big American dream of doing an MBA from US and chose the GMP program and living the dream of German life and exploring my life, traveling places, knowing different languages, taking risks, and feeling that passion. And today, every day when I get up in the morning, I say to myself, Nitish, it's better to live life rather just spending it. Thank you so much.